En INNpower Helsinki-Bizkaia del día de hoy tenemos a Tytti Steel, que es investigadora postdoctoral y ella trabaja en la universidad realizando investigaciones en varios niveles, sobre todo en la vida laboral y el emprendimiento. Nos encanta tenerte aquí porque, bueno, tienes una visión muy global de todo el fenómeno del emprendimiento, de la vida laboral, también con la perspectiva de género y también poniendo el acento en estos momentos en la situación que se está viviendo. Así que estamos deseando escucharte. Eskerrik asko etorri izanagatik eta parte hartzeagatik programa honetan. Zelan esaten da, ongi etorri terbektoa, Tytti Steel.
Good morning and hello from Helsinki. Snowy, cloudy Helsinki at the moment. So my name is Tytti Steel and I work at the University of Helsinki. I have a PhD in European ethnology, which is like anthropology at home. So we are interested in all sorts of things that people do, and I've been specializing in research on working life, and at the moment I work in gender studies, and the recent years I've been working in a project that is interested in inequalities or equalities in working life. At the moment, I'm very interested in entrepreneurship, and I work part-time in a project that is called Entrefox, working life and entrepreneurship for 55 plus aged people. And this is a development project, and it's funded by the European Social Fund. And we also do ethnography, and hopefully we'll publish some scientific papers later. But the main thing is that it is a development project, and we organize workshops and try to find ways which could help entrepreneurs to be more productive and increase the well-being of entrepreneurs. So this project is led by the Turku University of Applied Sciences and the Finnish Institute of Occupational Health is also one partner. And at the University of Helsinki, our focus is on foreign-born entrepreneurs. And the result of the project is a web-based platform where entrepreneurs can evaluate their skills and other aspects like time management, for instance. So it's an online platform where people can go and do a kind of development discussion online. You know, these discussions that many people have if they have a salary work, they talk with their boss once a year or something and go through different aspects of their careers and working lives, and we have the same idea to provide to entrepreneurs. And in Finland this is very important because less than 1% of Finnish businesses are large-scale enterprises. So 68% of entrepreneurs in Finland are self-employed. So they work alone. They need support, peer support, and many other kinds of support. 35% of entrepreneurs in Finland are women, and women's employment rate and also the rate of how many entrepreneurs are women is relatively high, looking at global or European scale. For instance, the women's employment rate in Finland is only 1.5 percentage points lower than men's, and in some older age groups, women's employment rate is even higher than men's. So Finnish women are used to working a lot, so doing paid job or being an entrepreneur, and then of course doing their fair share of care work and work at home as well, unpaid work. And there is still quite a strict segregation in the labor market. So women work a lot in care, different kinds of services, teaching, and so on. And yes, so women don't have so many technology businesses, for instance, and on average in the Nordic countries, even though they are somehow seen as some kind of model countries for gender equality, women's businesses get a much smaller amount of funding than men's businesses get. And women's businesses are profitable, and according to some research, even more profitable than men's businesses. Maybe women don't take so many risks as men, but they run productive businesses, and even though this is like this, there is still big difficulties of getting funding for startups, for instance. And femtech businesses are one example of how difficult fundraising can be, even though there is a global market for this kind of business. And for instance, this Lunette menstrual cup is one like successful product from Finland in the femtech business. So 88% of investors are men, and for some reason they see more threats in women's businesses. They ask women entrepreneurs different questions than they ask from men when they are deciding where to invest money. So there needs to be some kind of change there in order to enable more women to enter business. If we think about the COVID-19 situation, I don't think I have access to all the latest statistics, but there is a recent survey done by Slush community and the city of Helsinki, and you can get this link later if you want. So the startup scene in Helsinki is doing okay despite the pandemic. Only 20% of startup businesses have had layoffs, and 35% of businesses have hired more staff during 2020. And now I'll show you some things from this survey. It's about what things these businesses think are important. So in this survey, they were asked what kind of support they would need the most right now in the pandemic situation, and fundraising was the number one thing. So I don't know if it has a gender aspect in this case, but yeah, we can think about it and discuss it. Then opportunities for peer discussions and sharing, opportunity sharing. So I suppose some kind of ecosystem thinking, development and so on would be useful, and it's needed more than nowadays. And also financial support by the government or information on the support is needed. So the Finnish government has changed policy a lot during the pandemic and borrowed a lot more money than before, and some of this money has gone towards, of course, the treating the pandemic and the health issues, but also there has been support for businesses who have lost customers or are in the middle of big changes right now. But of course, especially in the spring, everything happened so fast that it took a while to start these schemes, and also to tell people about them isn't always so easy and fast, and they can be complicated applications or so on. So more information on this would be needed. And now I was thinking I would suggest that you think or discuss if these issues are something that are relevant for you also at this moment, or would you like to add something to the list? Maybe there are some other things. There were more things in the survey mentioned as well, but I just took the first three because they were obviously the most important ones. So you can think if there's anything to add to the list, and also start to discuss how these problems, if you have them, or the problems that you have listed, how they could be tackled together, and how, for instance, your organization who is organizing this event online could enhance, could do something about this, but also how local politicians or big businesses who have more resources could do more. So if we think of the COVID-19 and women entrepreneurs, I don't have numbers, but it seems that it has hit women's businesses harder than men's, at least until now. Finland is very technology and engineering oriented in general, and these technology businesses are doing quite well. Of course, IT has been even increasing, like like I said, that 38% of startups had hired more staff. So some IT businesses have been doing well, and there have been increase in their income and so on. But then there are other businesses that haven't been able to do what they have been doing and what their meaning of existence is. And these businesses are more women's businesses because women still work more in the services and so on. And also this funding for women's businesses has diminished even further. So this is a Nordic phenomenon, but it could be elsewhere as well. And of course, at least in the spring, when also the daycare was closed and the small school children were at home, it was mostly women's task to look after them, and this made it difficult for parents and especially mothers of small children to continue with their work or business, whatever women work with. And service sector and hospitality has taken the hardest hit in the Helsinki region. So this year, for instance, tourism in other places apart from Helsinki region has done okay, because in normal years, I don't know if we're going to go back to normal, what is the new normal, but before the COVID crisis, Finns spent more money abroad being tourists than tourists brought into Finland. So when we had a better situation in the summer and also now at Christmas time, for instance, lots of people have traveled from the metropolitan area to, for instance, Lapland and other places in Finland. But because there are more COVID cases in the Helsinki area, people don't want to travel here so much, and services have really suffered from this. And of course, the epidemic has treated businesses very differently, even within one sector. So in ENTREFOX project, for instance, we've seen how when our participants are older, then maybe also their customers are a bit older, thinking about cosmetologist or hairstylist or some like pedicure or things like these. And then older people have been more careful. They haven't gone to the hairdresser or getting these services as much as before. And this has maybe affected more the older entrepreneurs. Of course, now unemployment is very high among young people. So younger people don't have the money to spend on services when the unemployment goes on for a longer time. And of course, the location of business also makes a difference if you physically meet your customers. So at the moment there are more empty locations for businesses, more empty shops in the center of Helsinki than I've seen. I don't know, maybe in the 1990s recession there were as many. So this, of course, is for many it's a devastating thing, and I'm really hoping that it doesn't go to the situation that we had in the 1990s recession when way too many entrepreneurs went bankrupt, and actually many killed themselves because they were so ashamed of they just felt that their life was destroyed and they didn't get the social support and so on. So it was a very bad situation back then. Of course, now things have changed in general. There are much less suicides in Finland in general, and the situation is better in many ways. But I'm still afraid that too many people take it too seriously, that they lose their businesses. I think that in Finland we need more of this American idea that you're not an entrepreneur before you've done one bankruptcy. So you always learn from what you do. It's not a mistake. It's just expensive learning. And I think we need more of this idea in Finland. Of course, it can be a very difficult situation when your income goes down very fast and so on, and you've built a business for a long time and it goes down the drains in a couple of months and you can't do anything about it. So many entrepreneurs are in a difficult situation, and it's very important to seek for help, but also offer your help if possible. And actually in New Zealand, where they've had these earthquakes many times and they've had big crises, several big crises during the last, 20 years or something like this. The teaching of going through those crises has been that the ones who help others will get rewarded later. So their peers, other entrepreneurs, or their customers will reward them somehow. Of course, I don't know how scientific this is, but we just have to trust that something like this will happen if entrepreneurs also think about the how they could help each other or help other people, help the care workers, for instance, or something like that. So I think this is like the most important takeaway from my speech today. Seek for help, offer your help, and remember that that most likely you'll get some kind of reward afterwards. And so we can continue from these thoughts to the meaning of resilience. That's something that is talked about a lot, and I think it is good to talk about it. But also, I'm afraid that quite often it's seen as something that people like entrepreneurs have to build themselves. And of course it is like that. You have to take responsibility of your own life, but it's also a question of how the society builds resilience and how the local community builds resilience, for instance, together, not just that everyone has to do it on their own. So according to Wikipedia, resilience means the capacity to recover quickly from difficulties, but also toughness. And I'm not sure if these things are always, if they go together, because I think sometimes it's better to say, okay, I'm not tough, I need help, and I need to work with other people. I can't manage on my own, and now this thing has gone completely wrong, and I have to do something else, and it's not easy. But yes, so in Finland we have this idea of sisu, which is like that you have guts and you go through granite if you have to with a spoon or something like that. So you have to be very hard and decide what you want to do and get there somehow. And sometimes it means that people forget about, for instance, rest and self-compassion, which is not such a good thing. So on the long term, this idea of sisu can be quite dangerous, even if you end up burnout because of that. So, according to the American Psychological Association, you can build up your resilience, and of course, as I said, it's a good thing to do it also just from your own point of view, to make your life easier and better. And what they suggest is, and of course this is research-based ideas. The first thing on their list is to build connections. So they suggest that you should prioritize relationships, friends and family, and join a group like you have already done. So that's a great thing. So joining a group can mean a lot of things, and everyone can think if there would be some other kind of group that would be helpful. The second thing on the list is to foster wellness. So, of course, take care of your body. And in ENTREFOX project, we also have this aspect. So there are some people from the Turku University of Applied Sciences who work in their laboratory, where they for instance use these gadgets to measure heart rate and so on, to see how your condition gets better when you do exercise and so on. But the idea, of course, has to be that you think about, like they talk about working condition. So it's not like you have to be, if you are 50 years old, you don't have to be like when you were 20. And you don't have to think that everyone has to run a marathon, and that's what everyone should be going after. So it's small things that you can make better. It usually doesn't work to try to change everything at once, but to do small steps instead and get them into some kind of routine. Practice mindfulness, that's one of the things on the list. And again, research-based, I would say that it is important and useful to know how to, for instance, concentrate on your breathing and calm yourself down, because that's like one of the only things that you can actually do physically to make your heart rate go down or calm yourself down. But also mindfulness practice nowadays has become a fashion, and in some, for instance, in some IT businesses, it has become something that everyone has to do, and it becomes like a competition, and brings even more stress when everyone is expected to take part in some mindfulness practices, and then you look at other people and you think, oh no, I can't concentrate as well as they can, or something like this. So also be mindful of how seriously you take the idea of practicing mindfulness. There can be many ways of doing it. In Finland, many people like to go and walk in the woods. I prefer the seaside myself, but that's one of the best ways, of course, to go to the nature, or just spend time with your pet, or like earlier on the list, prioritize relationships. They can, of course, have many mindfulness kind of elements if you spend time relaxing with your nearest and dearest. Avoid negative outlets is one important thing, of course. So this means the misuse of alcohol or drugs, for instance, and not trying to hide or escape or deny bad feelings. So it's okay to feel bad sometimes also. You don't have to run away from it. These feelings have to be met at some point, somehow anyway. So the third thing on the list is to find purpose. And this is what I was talking about earlier, this offer your help to others. So helping others is one thing, to find purpose and meaning. Being proactive and breaking down problems into smaller pieces is one important learning here, I think. And also moving towards your goals. So it doesn't have to be that you have to think that I'll be in my goal in 2 weeks. But if you move towards your goal in 2 weeks, then I'm sure it will make you feel better. Looking for opportunities for self-discovery is one thing on the list, and the pandemic has, of course, forced us to do this to some extent, at least us who are not in care work or other work which has continued as busy as ever, or continued somehow normally. But many of us have had to change a lot of things in our lives, and that has pushed us towards thinking about new ways of doing things. And many business owners, of course, have had to do this and have had to renew themselves maybe completely. Then on the list next is embracing healthy thoughts. So keeping things in perspective. For instance, losing your business is not the same as losing your health or losing a family member. Businesses can be built up again, even though, of course, these are tough things. Also, accepting change is on the list of embracing healthy thoughts, and accepting change is something that we really have to embrace, try to embrace now. Maintaining a hopeful outlook and learning from your past are on the list as well. So thinking about what was helpful in a previous time of stress, or what was helpful in a previous time of difficulties. How did I manage then? What made me feel better, and could I find something similar now? And the last thing on the list of the now I have to go back so that I'll say the name right. The American Psychological Association. The last thing on the list is seeking help again. So please don't try to manage on your own if you feel that you could talk to someone. So I've seen this advice that if you feel the need of talking to someone, then you really need to do that. So of course it can be friends or family, but also talking to a professional therapist or a business guidance person or something. That is important. I'll get the slides back again, and the next slide has these five things that were on the list that I just went through. So building connections, fostering wellness, finding purpose, embracing healthy thoughts, and seeking help. And my suggestion now is that you look at this list and you apply kind of traffic lights to all these five things on the list. So if you think that you're doing fine, that is a green light, and that maybe means that if you have extra resources, you could maybe help someone else in that area. If your traffic light is yellow, then that means probably I might need some change in this area. Maybe I want to talk about this stuff with a friend or a colleague or a peer entrepreneur. And the red light, of course, is I'm not happy. This area is not doing so well in my life at the moment, and maybe I need help faster in this area. So you can apply these traffic lights and then choose two areas that have yellow or red light and think of a concrete step that you can make. And again, I suggest that when you have the chance to discuss with others, you also think about the societal aspect of this, not only your own personal life and your own business and so on, but to think about what kind of societal changes, what kind of services would help you and your business to thrive and your well-being to increase and you to thrive as a person. So not only that you have to do all the work, but also that there could be some help from the society, and how these suggestions or needs could be communicated to local officials or your MP or other people who can make change.
Es muy interesante esto que estás comentando de cómo necesitamos hacer, en toda esta investigación que estás realizando, ha habido pues una serie de necesidades que la comunidad emprendedora en Helsinki ha puesto de manifiesto, y por otra parte también se habla, dentro de esas necesidades, se ha hablado también de la American Psychological Association y cómo han estipulado lo que, pues, los ingredientes de la resiliencia, ¿no? De cómo es importante para las personas emprendedoras buscar herramientas idóneas. Y bueno, pues voy a comentar un par de ellas que creo que son importantes a remarcar. Y una de ellas es el tema del pedir ayuda, ¿no? de pedir apoyo a otras personas, a profesionales, pero también a una red. Y ahí hay una cuestión también importante que has comentado, que es la de establecer conexiones y relaciones interpersonales, no solamente con nuestras personas allegadas, sino generar también una red profesional entre iguales. Y al mismo tiempo también has hablado del autocuidado, que es algo también fundamental para la resiliencia. El autocuidado a varios niveles, a nivel físico, pero también a nivel mental. Y ahí, bueno, pues también creo que es importante lo que has remarcado, de no es tan importante el qué, sino el cómo abordamos esos cambios, ¿no? Tampoco vamos a generar nuevas ansiedades por generar competición, porque tenemos que hacer esto, tenemos que hacer lo otro, sino más bien establecer, bueno, pues un semáforo de diferentes necesidades que pueden estar ahí, y es el ejercicio que nos propones dentro de esas necesidades. ¿Cuáles? Bueno, vamos a poner semáforo rojo, semáforo amarillo, semáforo verde a aquellas áreas de nuestra vida y de nuestra vida profesional y han de ser atendidas por nuestra parte. Y dentro de eso creo que también es importante otro tema que remarcas, que no es solo lo que las personas de forma individual tienen que abordar, sino también como sociedad. Debemos como sociedad abordar esos cambios, o bien mejorarlos en nuestro entorno, o bien también que nuestras propias empresas sean vehículo para solucionar esos retos que son importantes en estos momentos. Would you like to add anything else about your research? And
I can actually continue a bit because I also promised in the description to say something about service design.
Yes.
Which is a personal pet of mine. So in a situation like this COVID-19 crisis, in business life, so to say, the cards get reshuffled and dealt again. So things can change completely. So some people suffer from this and some people get advantage from it. And of course, it's good to to think that try to be the one who gets advantage. And for instance, I mentioned the empty shops in the center of Helsinki. Well, this I don't think it will last forever. The pandemics have passed in the past, and people will come back to the center of Helsinki. And then there are these empty business, empty shops in the city center. So things will change, and I chose the title for this presentation, "Riding the Storm." It was a bit, I don't know, maybe a bit risky, because I can understand that it can be a super difficult time for many people, but also I genuinely think that there is this aspect of finding something new and gaining something in this situation where things change, and if you have an idea that you can compete with, then you can really make life better for yourself and many other people as well. And I see service design and design thinking as one possible way of increasing agility and finding these new ways of doing things. And this is an area where I'm like more interested and more enthusiastic about it than an expert, but I still would like to say a few words about it, because I think it's stuff that everyone knows, but it's always good to hear it again and think about it again. So of course, co-creation is something that is in the core of service design. So understanding your customer and actually teaming up with your customer to bring added value to your customer and also then to your business. And as an ethnologist, service design and design thinking are interesting, because there you use a lot of methods of qualitative research in the stage when you collect knowledge about what's going on. So these qualitative research methods are used in the entrepreneurial context. And this is a useful thing for small businesses, because sometimes you need good ideas and time. You can ask people, like the very simple thing is to ask people what they think about your product, for instance, and you don't need a big budget for a big marketing research. But you can for instance, interview 8 people and then build a customer persona based on that. So it's not like a customer persona that you just imagine, but when it's based on, for instance, 8 interviews, which is manageable, it's still a lot better than just guessing. And of course, small businesses can work together to get a bigger impact. For instance, hiring a service designer for a short time of period, paying for it together. And the methods, qualitative research methods that are used in design service, in service design, is autoethnography, in-depth interviews, participant observation and non-participant observation, and focus group interviews. So these are things that all of us do in our everyday life. Almost everyone, I would claim, almost everyone does these things, and it's just the matter of doing it a bit more consciously and using it for your business use as well. So I already mentioned these customer personas, journey maps, customer journey maps, and system maps are the things that are done in service design. And also visualization, synthesis, and analysis are important. But one shouldn't be too scared of these things, and also the prototyping, which is important, is really more down to earth than the fancy word prototype sort of lets you think. So in this kind of design thinking, it's the most important thing is to start with identifying the problem. So it doesn't start from an idea like a startup business often starts in an idea. Someone has a great idea, and then big majority of startups do not succeed. I've seen a number of 95% of startups don't succeed because it so often it goes from an idea that doesn't think about the customer. It's something that someone thinks might be fun, and then they ask their pals or their mom, and they are, yes, go ahead, and it doesn't really work out because in the end a better product already exists, or there is no need for this product. And of course, when developing a business that already exists, it's important to really look at the whole process and think about what is the thing that you have to correct. So it might be a completely different thing what you have thought of in the first place. And generally, people fall in love with their own ideas, and the first good idea, the best idea, and this kind of eureka moment is generally appreciated too much. So service design is based on acquiring knowledge and going through a process and thinking about it from many points of use, and discussing, for instance, with other entrepreneurs. You can get the same kind of effect that you get from service design process, that many people bring their own views and thoughts to the table. And I mentioned the prototypes and testing. They are important, and fail fast is good because then you don't waste time. So fail fast, don't be afraid of that. But it's the way to find the gems and the products and services that really become successful. And again, I will take the slides. My last slide is like a very basic and oldie but goldie method of discussing. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this idea. The 6 thinking hats. You can do this even on your own, but in a bigger group, of course, it's much more fun and also more useful when you really get different ideas and different viewpoints. So I'm suggesting that you choose a future service or something that you are developing in your business right now or in the very near future, and you use this 6 thinking hats method with other entrepreneurs. And so I'll go through the hats now, and I think this method is so good because I think most of us have our own personalities and we have our own ways of tackling things and thinking about things, but this method forces us to think in another way. And the idea is that you either really wear a hat. Sometimes I've participated in a workshop where we've had actual hats that we've had on, but of course it can just be a thought, a hat in your thoughts. So if you have lots of people, you can have a person with a blue hat who manages the big picture and maybe chairs the discussion if there are many participants. White hat, the person who's wearing the white hat only talks about facts and information. What do we know about this? For instance, this service or change in your business that you're thinking about. The person who's wearing a red hat only talks about emotions. The black hat person is concerned. Discernment and logic is, I don't know about this logic word here. I think it's maybe a bit overestimated or overrated. Emotions are also important, and there's lots of logic and thinking behind emotions as well. So I'm not saying that these are good or bad. The person with yellow hat has optimistic response, so only optimistic. So black hat can say, okay, this might not work because such and such. But with the yellow hat, no, you can't say that. With the yellow hat, you can only have an optimistic response, and you have to work hard sometimes to think of that if you disagree with the thing that you are discussing. And green hat is the creative hat. So then you continue, you develop further the creativity that is already in the thing that you are discussing. And at least in Finland, this is useful because, as I said, we have these ideas of sisu, and also I think there is quite strong this idea of the strong Finnish woman who does the wage work and then housework and looks after kids and does everything and is perfect, has a perfect home and has time to do everything and runs the marathon also and all that. But this can sometimes lead to very hard, even aggressive thinking when you feel very stressed and so on. So it's sometimes good to put on the red hat or the yellow hat and not think about all the threats and things that might go wrong all the time. So that was all that I had prepared, and now I want to thank you for listening and wish the best of luck to everyone. And if Miren, if you have any more questions, we can still discuss. But this was all that I had prepared.
Se ha hablado de dos herramientas que son design thinking, por un lado, y por otro lado los sombreros para pensar, de Edward de Bono. Lo que nos trae es dos maneras de innovar o de abordar este nuevo planteamiento. Como bien decías, este escenario ha hecho que las cosas cambien y, por tanto, podamos adoptar una solución, una mentalidad de solución, de resolver. Además de todas las herramientas personales de resiliencia que has comentado, también es importante, has sacado el tema de design thinking, y design thinking precisamente fue el tema, el Leit-Motiv de nuestro primer INNpower del año pasado. Y ciertamente, se trata de abordar, no pensar en una idea y luego cómo llevarla a cabo y a quién ofrecérsela, sino más bien identificar un problema y a partir de ahí realizar una investigación, bien preguntando, simplemente eso, ¿no? Hacer 8 entrevistas de calidad a personas que son usuarias de esos, que tienen ese tipo de problemática para ver qué les ocurre y a partir de ahí pensar un servicio que pueda adaptarse a esas necesidades y no al revés. Entonces es una manera de pensar que ayuda a mejorar la vida de las personas porque pone el acento directamente en el problema, en qué pasa y cómo puede darse a esa solución. Y cuando hablamos de eso, ¿no? De investigación, se trata de una investigación cualitativa, de una investigación centrada en lo que las personas usuarias realmente necesitan. Si queréis podéis incluso consultar la información de la anterior edición de INNpower, que estuvimos hablando sobre Design Thinking, y en el blog tenemos algún artículo, en el blog de Emakume, y ciertamente has comentado otra herramienta que son los sombreros para pensar. Lo interesante de los sombreros, que efectivamente, como bien apuntas, es una metodología que, digamos, ya tiene muchos años, pero que lo que sí que posibilita es hacerte consciente de diferentes maneras de pensar. Cuando hablamos de sombreros, no son sombreros físicos, que también, pero son maneras de pensar. Cada sombrero, cada color de un sombrero corresponde a una manera de pensar optimista, una manera de pensar solo en información o datos, etc. Entonces, se trata de ir intercambiando esos sombreros para que nos aporten diferentes formas de pensar. Este tipo de manera de crear se puede hacer en grupo o se puede hacer también de manera individual. Y esto pues es interesante, como bien apuntas, para no enamorarse de la idea y no centrarse solo en esos momentos eureka, sino más bien pensar en eso, en identificar el problema y conectar con las personas y ofrecerles una solución válida. Y otra de las herramientas que de alguna manera se combinan con el design thinking y los sombreros para pensar es que al final salimos de la manera habitual de pensar. Y eso es muy, muy importante de cara a innovar, que es una de las cuestiones importantes en INNpower, ¿no? Que es innovación y empoderamiento. I would like to ask you a question about the strategy. Yeah, we are at the beginning of 2021, and it is good to have a strategy for the whole year. Yeah, or inside these uncertain moments that we are living, it's good to have kind of a strategy or any plan. And how to start? How can we start building up this strategy for this year? Not only our business strategy, but for this year. What do you recommend?
I usually start by Googling. So I would look for the strategy planning that big businesses do, whatever videos or pictures, charts you can find, and just start putting the things from my business into those boxes and thinking about it. Of course, things are very uncertain. There's still a lot of uncertainty, but I feel positive about the vaccine and have felt about it all the time, because I know how much more effective the scientific world could be if everyone worked together towards one goal instead of competing with each other as badly as we have to do all the time now when we apply for the funding and have to sort of compete with even our closest colleagues, and also many processes could be done faster. Yeah, it's an excellent question, and of course it's I suppose it's important to think of different scenarios, like okay, the now, at least in Finland, I think in the EU in general, it looks like sometime during the summer things will be better because there will be enough vaccinations around so that we can meet each other more again. We will most likely have to still have some kind of safety measurements in place, but yeah, different scenarios. I'm also a member of board of this fund which organizes midsummer party every year. It's like an outdoor museum island, and there is a fund that is a fund for ethnologists that is organizing this. The midsummer party is the biggest event, and it had to be cancelled last year. So now we are thinking of what's happening this year, and we have already ruled out like a normal midsummer. So that scenario is not in the plans anymore, but some kind of light version, hopefully, of the traditional big party is going to happen, and but it can't be the only plan. So there has to be a plan for also that the party isn't going to happen, and then we have to have a time for when we decide what's going to happen. So it's like building a jigsaw puzzle, trying to put the pieces together. Yeah, I think that's all I can I can say now. Hopefully it was a bit useful.
Yes, I think it's very interesting that you tell the plan A, plan B, plan C, yes, so that the things are uncertain and we do not have to have just a unique one plan. We need to diversify or think about it in a different way. Hablábamos de la diversidad, ¿no? De lo importante que es diversificar los escenarios y los planes y pensar en el plan A, plan B, plan C. Yo creo que con esto tenemos una perspectiva interesante. Hemos pasado de los datos objetivos de cuál era la situación en Helsinki. Por otra parte, hemos hablado también de herramientas personales para la resiliencia basada en la plataforma que habéis puesto en marcha en Helsinki. Y además hemos hablado de otras cuestiones que son importantes como herramientas para la innovación. Yo quería darte las gracias. Thank you very much for your presentation, for your presence here in this event. Te agradecemos muchísimo que hayas estado aquí porque creo que es muy importante para todas nosotras estar pues eso, generando esa red de conocimiento y toda esa información que nos servirá de ayuda. Thank you very much.
Thank you for the interest and thanks for asking me to give this presentation. And as I said, best of luck to everyone. It's a difficult situation still.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for the invitation. It's nice to see you, even though only online. I would much prefer to be with you in Bilbao, but this is the way life is now.